Hey guys, LevelCap here, and today I get to give you my early access impressions of the new DLC for Star Wars Battlefront, the Outer Rim. Starting off with some of the cool little Easter eggs you can find. Here in Jabba's palace you can see a Dianoga in a fish tank, the famous trash compactor monster on the Death Star. With a little bit more exploring, you can find the Rancor pit, and there is the unfortunately dead Rancor in this pit. Still very big, very cool looking, but man would it have been cool to see a living Rancor. A little more exploring finds Han Solo's carbonite block that he has actually been thawed out of by Princess Leia. And I guess this makes a little more sense, as it would be kind of weird if Han Solo saw himself frozen in carbonite, as you can play Han on this map. And if you ever wondered how Jabba the Hutt maintained his hygiene, well, here's Jabba the Hutt's bathtub. Kind of a muddy pit in the middle of the palace. That's kind of nice. I guess ideal for a slug. And then if you were ever a fan of those Gamorrean guards, you might be a little upset to see them dead in a hallway back here. Would have been kind of cool to play as them, though I don't know how their battle axes would have held up in combat. And then in this back room here, I found K-3PO, the white protocol droid that was destroyed in the rebel base on Hoth. If you ever wondered where he ended up after that battle, well, it looks like Jabba's salvage team might have gotten a hold of him. And then of course we have a sail barge in Jabba's palace as well. Not the first sail barge in the game, but this one is front and center in the middle of combat, and you can fight around it, on top of it. It's much more a part of the map design this time around. And I'm sure there's plenty of more Easter eggs to be found in this DLC. These were just some of the quick ones that I found right off the bat. Alright, now how about the DLC overall as a package? Star Wars Battlefront is a game that's been relatively starved for content since it came out, and people have been craving a DLC or something just to get more content, more items, more star cards, more heroes, more weapons into the game. It certainly delivers more, but is it enough? There's 4 new maps which are only going to be available to people who purchase the DLC. 2 Jabba's Palace maps and 2 maps on Solist. They're very beautiful maps, very cool looking maps. They support the new game mode Extraction, which is actually quite fun. I like it a lot. It's a payload game mode where you have to like guard the payload as rebels and try and get it to a transport ship, and as the Imperials you have to try and stop the payload. It's fun, very dense action, infantry focused. In fact, all the maps are infantry focused. There's no Walker Assault or Turning Point game modes that work on these maps. I don't think that there's any new Fighter Squadron maps either. So if you're looking for that gigantic Star Wars Battlefront experience, you're not really going to get it in this DLC. However, they are adding a bunch of new weapons and star cards that will be usable on the classic map, so you can bring the new heroes, weapons, and star cards into Turning Point or into Walker Assault and enjoy them there. Or even hero battles, you can use the 2 new heroes. And although the characters that they chose for the heroes were a little bit underwhelming when we still don't have heroes like Chewbacca or Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda in the game yet, I will say they've done a pretty good job with making these heroes unique in their own right. I really enjoyed playing with Tien Nub. He has some awesome defensive abilities that I cannot wait to try out in Turning Point and Walker Assault game modes. Laying down turrets that can upgrade themselves, putting down tons of proxy mines is just incredible for defending points. And then he's got a very powerful pulse rifle that recharges quickly. So this guy can fight from a range and really lock down points defensively. So I love the way he plays out. Now there's 3 new star cards, which is unfortunately a bit underwhelming. One of them is particularly cool. The Adrenaline Rush star card allows you to heal incredibly fast, so basically it allows you to tank damage and survive longer in combat. This is different than the personal shield because you can still shoot and use all your abilities while it's active, so if you know you're about to go into some intense combat, you can proc it, activate it, and still keep fighting and taking down targets. You can also use it as a reactionary ability. If you've taken a lot of damage, you're about to die, activate it and it will heal you up very quickly and probably allow you to win that firefight. Then they've also added the Deoxys grenade, which is a poison cloud grenade. This is actually a pretty effective weapon, especially considering now that personal shields and bubble shields will deflect grenades. The Deoxys poison grenade will still go through shields, so it's still very effective, and you can use it to block off certain hallways. A lot of the maps are choke pointy, so using these to slow the enemy progression is very useful, and frankly I've already gotten a bunch of kills with it, so it does pretty good damage. And then there's the Slug Thrower Scattergun. This is a fun star card because there's a lot of people that love those personal shields. You get somebody into the red, they're about to die, they activate their personal shield, and there's not a lot you can do against them, especially now that the personal shields are going to deflect grenade blast damage. They're going to be even more effective. However, the Scattergun is a two-shot, basically shotgun-style weapon that can penetrate shields. And if you hit somebody with both shots, it will kill them instantly. Otherwise, if you hit them with one shot, it'll do half damage. But say somebody takes a lot of damage, they're in red health, they activate their personal shield, switch to your Scattergun, hit them once, it'll take them down. This is a great way to get those people who like to abuse that personal shield. Now we also get 4 new primary weapons that you can use in any loadout. There's the DLT-18, the fast shooting pistol, the DLT-19X sniper rifle, looks very much like the DLT-19 just with a giant scope on it, the Relby V10 semi-auto rifle, this is the gun that Bosk used in the movie, and then there's the DT-12, which is very similar to the DL-44. It's a slow firing, heavy hitting pistol. And again, it's not a huge amount of new weapons or star cards, 7 in total if you can include guns and star cards, but the way you unlock them is very cool through the Hutt contracts. Now obviously Jabba the Hutt couldn't be a hero, a little too slow moving I think, but he's in the game nonetheless. You can take contracts from him, you have to buy them once you hit a certain level, and then progress through them in the game. So it might be like, get this many headshots or kill this many people with a certain weapon, and that will unlock the weapon for you. So you need the credits to buy the contracts, but then you have to perform the tasks. So you can't just buy the DLC, save up a whole bunch of credits beforehand and buy all the guns you want right away. You're actually going to have to work for it nonetheless. So it's kind of a cool new system for doing this, and they're going to use the Hutt contract system for all future DLC. When it comes to new character skins, there is really disappointingly only one. That's Weequay. He's a cool looking skin. You have to be rank 60 to get him, so better start ranking up. But there's nothing new for the Imperial side. And although I know for certain that they are working on new Imperial skins that you will be able to unlock in the future, we don't know when we're going to get them, and this is something that would have been nice to have sooner rather than later. I think having more player customization and things to work for in this game is sorely needed. Now there's also a new battle pickup, the Disruptor Rifle, and this is going to make it into vanilla maps as well. So if you didn't buy the DLC, you'll still be able to pick up the new Disruptor Rifle. And a bunch of this new content is actually going to make it into the vanilla free version of the game. So even if you don't have the DLC or the Season Pass, there will be some cool new content for you. And although you can one-shot infantry with this and it makes a spectacular explosion, it is primarily intended for an anti-vehicle weapon. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how this new anti-vehicle rifle fares on some of the bigger game modes. Now, without question, this DLC is adding a lot of stuff to the game that's sorely needed. More content, more weapons, more unlocks, more heroes, more ways to sort of customize the way that you're going to play, and cool new ways to unlock stuff. Even one new skin, at least there's some sort of new skin to aim for, and a new level cap of rank 60. But without question, one of my main criticisms, and one of the criticisms I'm sure other people are going to find with this game, is the scale and scope of the DLC. We're getting a lot of smaller infantry-based maps. There's no new Walker Assault, no new Turning Point, no Fighter Squadron, nothing on a really large scale. Sure, you can bring a lot of these items and gear back into the base game and use them out in Walker Assault or Turning Point, but it's a little bit underwhelming. Also, the quantity of new gear is also a bit underwhelming. If they were going to focus on smaller maps this time around and not push for these giant Walker Assault style maps and stuff, I think it would have been more important to give us a bunch of new star cards and weapons. Like, flood us with a whole bunch of new star cards and weapons the first DLC, and then maybe taper off down the road, since we really do need a lot more stuff to customize and aim for in the game right now. We've already kind of exhausted what we can do so quickly with the first part of the game, and we're going to do it so quickly again with this first DLC. I think they should have just added a bit more content. I also strongly disagree with the fact that they are sticking to only having 2 hands of star cards available for any game that you're playing. It really limits the customization and sort of strategies you can bring to the battlefield, and that's just unfortunate to me. And I feel the more star cards and more weapons you get, you're gonna want more hands available to you, and I hope the devs kind of budge on this issue and let us have maybe 5 hands. Now, there is one thing that's going to help out PC players quite a bit with this new update, and this is going to affect everybody, is a new way to search for games. You can now search for games of 40 players, you can search for games of 12 players, or you can search for hero-based games. And this will allow you to sort of more search for the game style rather than the exact game mode itself, and it should put you in a server a little bit faster. And this is definitely going to help out for PC players who are having trouble playing some of their favorite game modes. If there's no servers playing them, it'll just be easier to say, I want to play with 40 players or I want to play with 12 players, and it will find a game mode for you. Now again, when it comes to summarizing this DLC, everything they've added to the game is good. It's a welcome addition. It's stuff that's been needed. They're cool star cards. I like them all. The weapons are nice. The heroes are surprisingly fun to play. There just isn't quite enough new stuff in this game that has desperately been needing new stuff, needs that influx of new content to keep it alive and interesting, is getting just barely enough to push itself along. So I would love to see more content, more new stuff, and I believe we will be getting a bunch of free new stuff between this DLC and the next DLC, so it's nice to see that DICE is at least continuing to add a bunch of free content in between the big content updates. And I'll certainly be playing this DLC when it first launches for a bit, but we'll see how long it holds my attention. As always guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing out.